It's time to jump into the first map then. Dogman, Ship, take us away.
All right, my friend, let's get into it as we start up now with the bans. 100 Thieves Cafe Rose. First ban, at least floated for a moment there, was going to be the Elsa. Wouldn't be a major surprise, but it looks like, yeah, it's going to be a mismatch once again. Last time the Gambit ban came out on top. We'll see if that changes.
Yeah, we have to see if that mixes up the sort of outcome, because I think it's, as Gask pointed out, I mean, not very traditionally a great domination team. And then on Burn the Chala haven't won on it yet. I mean, they didn't even win it if we're going all the way back to grand finals in the playoffs. They didn't win a single Burn of the Chala there either. And that was the old version of 100 Thieves, where you would assume, okay, maybe with a little bit more players that are better on domination, we do better. But regardless, this is their time to come back. And it's, as you guys talked about, I mean, these teams are evolving ever so slowly in practice and in scrims. So, you know, maybe they're doing better in scrims on domination these days. For Cafe Rose, though, I mean, this is sort of a win now situation for them. And they're going to lock that Daredevil after, you know, we could potentially have locked the Elsa, considering how the Gambit, Protect, and Ban have gone for 100 Thieves.
And Lyric also for the side of Cafe Rose has had a ton of success on that van pool. You can see the float right now. Yeah, I was going to say, so you wouldn't be surprised if that ban comes through. That ban is through there for 100 Thieves, so that won't be seen. But yeah, I think they want to try to support that dive style. I'm surprised, and I don't think it's necessarily the case. Surprised maybe we won't be seeing a Venom ban or lock in this situation. Maybe later on that will come into play. The Mantis ban for the first time of today, which again was quite the surprise that Mantis was allowed through and they didn't want to run it. But it's all about comfort here. 100 Thieves don't want to see it though.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, this is the first time as well we've seen that Elsa get hovered and given throughout. You know, I mean, a good Mantis team in that Cafe Rose love to play triple strategist. And it maybe goes back to what you talked about earlier when we talked about this team, Shib, since Cafe Rose want to play that on Warlock, when maybe you would assume this team would play like Ultron and stuff. You sort of force them onto a hero that maybe is not as meta, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the early DD ban is something we've seen a couple times so far in the preseason. It's not necessarily a bad decision by any means if the team is more comfortable on that dive, and they do know how strong, obviously, Delena is on that hero. So, you know, that's going to be the immediate ban focus for them. And instead, they're going to elect to just try to put a ton of pressure on the backline and get to the backline as fast as possible. But they do also now get that Elsa through because the ban didn't happen here. The final ban's going to be Invis or Mantis. They're not quite sure, but 100 Thieves is showing their cards a little bit. I do believe they want to try to run that Mantis comp. It might force them to ban it.
Yeah, let's see what they want to go for the ban on the opposite side.
It does.
Okay. Yeah, it's as you mentioned, Ship. We get to see that Mantis ban at the end. Well, I mean, this is a big deal. This is the most important ban phase we've seen for either team, right, Shib? So, you know, we get to see now what Cafe Rose could do with some of the best duelists in the game versus 100 Thieves who focused on getting this Gambit comp.
Yeah, backs against the wall once again, much like game one. 100 Thieves needs this W to move forward and head right in to our next stage of Ignite. But again, this is just the preseason, folks. Teams are still adapting, learning meta, figuring out how to play together, as there's been a ton of roster mania. But you know what team hasn't had too much roster mania? That is 100 Thieves, as Winnie and Self going to be the new additions, and both of which have been absolutely performing. We're going to see Fox come out here from 100 Thieves.
Starting off on Bernard Chala, let's see if, you know, for 100 Thieves side, I feel like they can play well, or like you mentioned, around Delena playing that star role. But it's kind of like, I think Self has been playing solidly. Whenever we get to see him playing the Daredevil and stuff, it's awesome. But it's when they play triple strategist, when they go over to the Ultron, that I'm getting a little bit of questions for 100 Thieves. But that also comes down to how is Vinny going to do in that Captain America role, in that dive role, after, you know, going from things like Groot a little bit more stable in terms of anchoring down everything. So also TTK and Vinny being together for so long has been interesting. And for Cafe Rose, this is a team on the come up. So realistically, house money, like we said, not a lot of pressure on them, which could allow them to play a lot more free.
Yeah, and Vinny also played a mean Venom in Ignite Stage 1, so I'm curious, electing to run Cap a lot more this season. Actually haven't seen the Venom yet, so might have just been, you know, pushed back in the bag a little bit and allow Cap to shine. The positioning starts off here. 100 Thieves in a really good spot, trying to find that early pick on a Lyric. A lot of cooldowns forced out there. The clap begins from Millennia, trying to land a freeze from downtown. Doesn't seem to do that, but the priority on point is here. TTK on that van pool. Haven't seen a ton of this so far, able to find an early pick there on the Lyric and start off getting some experience with that picture.
Yeah, great work to focus on the cap player on the opposite side and play healthy, play safe. It's a 2-2-2 style, so there's not going to be as much healing for these Vanguards either, as Millennia claps down Pro Builder. We use the Deadpool Ultimate. This is an easy fight win for 100 Thieves off of some excellent target focus against the 2-2-2 style. Sanji, sure, you find one, but you're going to get reset back to spawn. The new changes came through Shib with the 2 instinct lost for him as well. But honestly, you talk about, I mean, Millennia, I think, is one of the most underrated strats. I know a lot of people talk about Cooper, talk about Nero, talk about Valentina, but Millennia doesn't get enough praise, in my opinion. I think is one of the best strats and my personal favorite to watch in North America.
Yeah, Millennia is great and not afraid to pull out the Luna, which we've seen from Cooper. Those who are not afraid to land shots and get a ton of value on a hit scan, because you can just deal so much damage and just apply a ton of pressure. And when you're running that triple comp, you want strats that deal damage. That's why we've seen a lot less Cloak at this level of play. She does have that awesome terror cape, but outside of that, her neutral fighting potential is not that good. Self immediately going to start off with a rage, able to find Pro Builder, make it a 2-piece onto Lyric, and another good start here for 100 Thieves. 46% and climbing as Vinny finds another. And 100 Thieves have not missed a beat. They're looking incredibly strong right now.
Yeah, this is it's not looking good so far, especially with the fact that we locked the Daredevil. We allowed that to get through on our side very early on, and we can't even play it at the current moment. So this has been brutal. Just looking back at the draft phase, and for 100 Thieves, they got to be feeling pretty happy about that fact going through so far.
The next fight begins. Ult advantage going to be in a slight favor for Cafe Rose, but honestly not for long, as we will see 4, almost 5 and 6 just off for himself, actually. So keep it to 5 for 100 Thieves. There goes some commitment now for Winnie. Able to find respect instantly. What a pick there. Self finds, wow, Sanji and another Self. You talked about maybe not getting as much value on the alt trend as we've seen from some of these players, but right now, getting 4 in these last 2 fights alone in terms of finals. And 100 Thieves, at this point, Cafe Rose has got to figure out something, because they can't even get there to commit these ultimates.
And they're going to portal play a touch. At least you have those ults that you've mentioned. But did they even get it off? They get stunned out. It looks like the answer is it did. So job done for 100 Thieves. You talked about a Ship. That was one-sided. That was dominance out of them. Completely different looking team based on what we've seen so far throughout the tournament.
Yeah, the weird position right there that we saw from the side of Cafe Rose, they all had ult, and none of them wanted to switch. And they said, all right, let's just commit map 2, and we have to win our first fight, which it is heavily in their favor if you see the queues across the board here. But yeah, the no commitment there on Portal, maybe just afraid because of the space that was owned from 100 Thieves, and that's the value of taking space. Once you've already committed point, you try to fight early, don't allow them to portal, make sure they take damage on their way in, burn cooldowns, so you have an advantage in the fight. And it's just masterclass right now for 100 Thieves. The only one going down being Self from that pick from Zanji.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, ace with 1 KO is not exactly a sight that you want to see if you're on the opposition or if you're on that team. But you know, that's the tough part when you play the Elsa, when you don't get these fight wins back to back to back, you lose that instinct so fast now. And Delena's able to still match him on the Phoenix, which has been impressive too. So this is their chance to be talked about it. They can take advantage. Nobine's not going for a portal play either, so sticking on the Angela. And the tough part is, I think this is a somewhat worse map too for the Psylocke. So they really need to get out and roll early from Lenya with one of their duelist ultimates to set up maybe a Glartrox or something. But they have so many things to work with. If 100 Thieves play perfectly, sure, you lose this. But I mean, there's so many ults for 100 for Cafe Rose. Oh,
that was dirty right there. Good shots by Delena, able to find Zanji instantaneously with some really good tracking in that fight. Playing with that low sense like we like to talk about in the past. Come on now, Delena. Gets another cancel onto Pro Builder, who tried to commit the butterfly there. And that is so much value. 2 ults down. No value yet from the side of Cafe Rose. 100 Thieves once again playing textbook and just looking clean while doing it. Wow.
I mean, that's every ult gone for Cafe Rose. They finally get a KO, though, in the middle of their invisible boundary. But those were some gross shots. I got audibly sick by the shots out of Delena. Regardless, that is Ultron's rage down. Nobines commits the ultimate. They need to get KOs here, Ship.
Dog straight up threw up from the grossness as Pro Builder's able to find 1 on Delena, and there's going to be more chase here. Zanji able to take out Millennia now, and that is a good start here for Cafe Rose, but all of those Qs did not get value. Instead, it's just the neutral for them, and they're starting to get back into their own swing of things here. 100 Thieves will have ult advantage in this next fight, though, and they're going to try, at least, to not overcommit in this fight to ensure they can bide more time on point and defend with some of these Qs.
I mean, I like the Daredevil in this comp. I think the Elsa is a great hero. She's definitely server admin at points, but with the nerfs and stuff, it makes it a debatable question. You know, do you want to go over to the Daredevil to at least make this synergize a bit more with the dive so you can help Pro Builder out?
And here goes the initiation. Rage of Ultron right on no binds. Goodbye. Not much you can do about that. Trying to chase, but instead going to look forward, try to keep the team healthy. Lyric goes under map, and that is incredibly unfortunate timing there for that map break. Usually you see teams break that early so they don't have to deal with it, and not electing to do that there. TTK applying so much pressure. Calm, cool, and collected here with the Van Pool. Likely those who maybe you don't know, you typically build the Banhammer ultimate first, the range ultimate, so you can apply pressure to the back line, and from there you go to the AoE that you see him pop in a moment here. The Eve on when you're on keyboard, because it does apply damage reduction to your team. A slight nerf on that over these last few patches, but either way, very strong hero. TTK playing to the max of the ability right now. A ton of ults available here for Thieves still.
Yeah, that was a rough fight. Unfortunately, Ultron's Rage was not matched by Meteor M. Lyric didn't have it just yet. But you can't lose fights just in Ultron's Rage in that situation. We have to commit something regardless. 100 Thieves now, all the ult. Ensign Inferno, proactive play here.
Yeah, great answer there from Respect, though, as Winnie now commits with the Fox. What does the Fox say? It says, I want a couple KOs, but it does not quite get those. Is going to go back into form, and again, you can get KO'd as a Fox and go right back into this form, so you don't have to stress. Kind of treat it like Hulk without any downside, because you don't go back to Bruce Banner form. And there's going to be a dance floor committed. Out goes the Freedom Charge right back from the side of Vinny to try to keep the team up, and they're up still. On the high side, up on top there, is going to be, I believe, Self, Winnie, and Delena, but they all dropping back down now. Winnie holding this space, and the point is still being dominated by Thieves, 92%, as Delena gets another pick on a Pro Builder. Do I see a two-piece? I do. Delena is insane right now, trying to find a third. The portal needs to come in, 99, and it does. At least the touch comes through.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's just shot after shot. This guy looks so free. Kind of like we saw out of Millennia from, or not Millennia, Melio out of FlyQuest before. They go for the portal play shift, but it ain't going to happen. 100 Thieves, get it done.
I'm surprised about that. I thought they had enough time to get that portal through from the touch, but I guess No Binds was not able to stall long enough. 100 Thieves have not missed a beat from yesterday. They are locked in. Thieves are back in shape, and they dominate that domination.
Yeah, that was pretty one-sided, and it was quite interesting the way they did it, the fashion they did too, through the ban phase, and just with Delena popping off on the Phoenix. It was kind of free, and you know, for the opposition, for Cafe Rose, I feel like they have done well with triple comps before. But it's pretty interesting shit that they just give up on the Gambit, even though we're giving it from 100 Thieves side. We still played this backline that's pretty safe. You allow the Luna Snow to pop off and get as much damage down range, and Cafe Rose just did not have an answer at any situation, man. Like, the best player they had was Zanji getting 3 finals, but not even just him. The whole team just had a hard time versus 100 Thieves comp.
Yeah, I'm with you. It might be the first time we've seen a team that locked Gambit didn't need to run it necessarily, but either way, or you know, I mean, they did need to run it if I'm being honest, but either way, this is a tough look here for Cafe Rose. Again, for those who maybe don't know, they did lose a couple players early on just for age restrictions, but the team is still very solid together. They look great day one, struggling a little bit right now, but they can bounce back. But outside of that, 100 Thieves again. Incredible. 7 finals there for Zelena, a ton of damage. TTK not going down a single time. The whole team performed.
Very impressive. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect going into this one. I didn't know if we were going to see 100 Thieves at their very best. I guess after we saw the performance yesterday, we should have expected them to be right up there, but it seemed like it was a bit of a one-sided affair. Cafe Rose couldn't really keep up with just the aggression that we saw out of 100T. I don't know if it's going to get any better for Cafe Rose, which I think is my concern here, Dog. I mean, from what I've seen in that first map, there's nothing that suggests that Cafe Rose have what it takes to take down 100 Thieves. I know things change a lot now going into Convoy or Convergence. I mean, if you were Cafe Rose, if you were the coach of Cafe Rose, where would you rather go here? Do you feel like Convoy or Convergence has a preference for them?
Probably not. I mean, I like both realistically, but not versus 100 Thieves. That's the tough part. I mean, maybe you could say we go to a map like Kunlun or something like that where we saw 100 Thieves struggle versus FlyQuest, I suppose, or something like that. But regardless, I feel like this team, it's more so, and I'm the negative person here about this, but I really do feel like 100 Thieves is looking like old 100 Thieves like we should have seen earlier, right? Like, they seem a lot more comfortable in the meta. Maybe it was due to the meta shift that they looked a little bit off, but right now this 100 Thieves team looks unbeatable. And to be honest, like, I don't know if I would give Cafe Rose much of a shot on this next map, because if they're gonna switch it up, if they're gonna play comps like that, and also just Delena hit shots like that, and the team plays so well, especially with Vinny really just kind of living forever, doing a lot on every hero he played. I feel very comfortable in saying this 100 Thieves team is so much better than they looked last week and in the past couple weeks in general.
And Chib, it seems to be somewhat of a pattern. I mean, if you look at 100 Thieves, you look at FlyQuest, teams that had expectations to perform early on, but struggled to begin with, didn't look like themselves, but then started to find their footing a little bit later on here in preseason. Sadly, it was far too late for FlyQuest. What do you kind of take that down to? Why do you think these teams struggled to begin with? Like, why are they taking longer than others to adjust to this meta?
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons, right? Sometimes it's team synergy and understanding, and some of these teams, including 100 Thieves, have been together for a long time, and they can just kind of understand how each other plays and play off it naturally without worrying too much. But it's also an understanding of the meta, like you guys have touched on a little bit here, as we see Shin Shibuya coming up next. A little bit of change in pace here, and I think that's what you need from the side of Cafe Rose to try to throw a wrench into the cogs here, try to get a W. But yeah, understanding the meta and finding a way for your team to succeed around it. We've seen teams lock in Ultron and outrun it. I think the Ultron backline triple comps are really meta right now, and Self performing like that with 6 finals, almost getting up there to Delena, is an indication that 100 Thieves can run meta, and they can run those DD comps, and they can play aggro with Cap, and they have solutions, they have answers for every aspect of the meta. But does Rose?
Just to follow up on that, Dog, as well. I mean, does it worry you with how long it's taken some of these teams to adjust to the meta? Obviously, it's a very fast developing meta in Marvel Rivals. We get patches very regularly, seasons change, and we are going to see a lot of things change some of these heroes. Does that worry you with teams like 100 Thieves, like FlyQuest, who took a little bit longer to adjust?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, obviously for FlyQuest, it's brutal because, I mean, we can all agree. I think now that we looked at week 2 FlyQuest, I would have expected them to be even in the running at this point, right? Just based on how they've looked. You know, they're the only team to really make Swamp sweat to a degree on a map. But regardless, it does feel, I mean, I kind of want to agree with you. I think it is a little worrisome. But also from the flip side, I understand it just because it is tough to develop into a patch that just released a week and a half before the tournament. Like, this is obviously not just about Marvel Rivals esports when a patch drops, but, you know, and obviously the players like to think it is because they're the top 1% or like top 0.001%, sorry. This, like, the game is not just about us competitive players all the time, and it's tough to see that, right? But you have to adapt, you have to make those changes. And the teams that adapted the fastest in terms of Swamp Gaming and Liquid Citadel are definitely sitting at the top. But as long as you make it into the playoffs, it may not matter, right? If you figured it out at this point, I would say that I still think they're going to do well. And I'd be scared to play against 100 Thieves right now, especially if they look good in this next map.
Another thing, at the moment in preseason, Shib, we're playing best of 3s, but that's going to change to best of 5s once we get into playoffs. I think it's going to change a lot. Would you agree? Do you think we're going to see slightly different results in Burieds?
Absolutely. We talk about targeted bans being a thing, and I think the ban phase becomes ever more present and more important as you go into best of 5s, because you download the problems and then you really start picking them off. It's hard to identify a problem if it only goes to 2 matches, right? If you get that third, then you can really hone in on who you want to remove, who you want to prioritize for your team that works best into what they like to run. And then you find more success. And also you can see weaknesses in modes and try to exploit that a little bit more. I do think best of 5 is a better indication of talent, team versus team, but still best of 3, if you're able to take it too sweet like that, you can run some more cheeky stuff and get away with it.
Real question is, Dog, if we had best of 5 in preseason, do you think we would have seen different results? Would we have had the same tables that we have right now?
I think so, yeah, because then you allow domination to go through a little bit more, and some of these teams are very dom reliant, and then maybe they can go to an extra convoy or convergence map that the teams they play against are like least comfortable on. Because I mean, I feel like if you're good at like one dom map, you're probably good at most of them, if not all of them. Comparing that to convoy convergence maps can be all over the place, I guess. So yeah, I think that we probably would see something different there for sure, Cask.
Well, 100 Thieves and Cafe Rose at the moment, 100 Thieves are looking like the dominant force. However, for Cafe Rose, it is pretty much do or die now. They have to come back and win both of these if they would like to have an opportunity of progressing through to playoffs. It would be a very small chance, that's for sure. They would have to go into tiebreakers. They'd have to help the other teams lose later on today, but there is still a possibility, and for them, that's what they've got to cling on to. That is the situation for them. As for 100 Thieves, if they win this next one, they qualify for playoffs. It's easy breezy, simple as you like, and And I'm really hoping that we see a little bit more of an effort here from Cafe Rose, because it did seem like they just rolled over and showed their belly a little bit in that first map there, Shib. Is there a reason, do you think, that maybe 100 Thieves were able to just really target them in that ban phase? Was it already won before we even got into the map?
Well, I think the ban phase was important, but honestly, I just think they lost confidence completely. You know what I mean, buddy? They left the first point completely open. It didn't even make an attempt for Portal and just held on to ult, and you can't be doing that. That feels very laddery to me.
It does indeed. Well, speaking of ban phase and whether it can be won or lost in it, let's jump into said ban phase and let's see how these teams match up against each other. It's 100 Thieves versus Cafe Rose. Can Cafe Rose come back into it? Gents, take it away.
All right, my friend, as we head into the next match here, 100 Thieves need to win this thing to push themselves forward and keep going here in this preseason, heading in to the deep parts of the tournament. I mean, Cafe Rose, they want a chance at it here, so I'm expecting to see something different.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, realistically, on their side, they're going to go for the Daredevil again. Maybe prioritize playing in this upcoming map. But, you know, I really wonder, in the overarching scheme of things for Cafe Rose, we saw this out of the other squads too, and I'm curious how, for example, Nightmare do later on, but Pro Builder kind of feels like in a similar role that Light is right now, where he's trying to figure things out, what to play for the squad, and they're kind of like playing around what Zanji could play, and he seems like he can flex onto so many things that it's kind of making it complicated in that regard. But we'll kind of see how it plays out. Regardless, 100 Thieves get that Ultra on Protect out early instead of the Gambit, because obviously they've loved playing triple so far, and it looks like they're immediately making sure they could play the Ultron chip.
Yeah, that's surprising, but I guess we're starting to see, again, it's not necessary to run the Gambit if you don't need to. I think if you have a comp that works, and and this is where things get tricky. This is where I'd say maybe if you ban Fox, you throw a wrench in their mix, right? Like, I don't think it's a bad idea. Well, we might, they're floating it. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a comp they're comfortable on, and maybe it shakes it up enough, but I'm not sure because, Mantis is still on Mantis still on the table.
Well, that goes to what you said. Like, I think it, has the 100 Thieves even shown they want to play a ton of that Mantis stuff? Like, are they really enabled by it? Like we've seen other teams when they damage boost the Psylocke and it just goes the hell off. For 100 Thieves, they get the Vanguard Protect of Deadpool. But for Cafe Rose, they're hovering it, Shib. They're thinking about the White Fox, and there it is. That's their changeup.
Yeah, I honestly think, we talk about Valentina being a really good Fox. I think Winnie's in the conversation for one of the best Foxes here, getting a ton of value with ult. We see a lot of neutral picks, even with ult available on the opposition. Like, we saw picks from Winnie in Fox form, taking out the backline of, respect in picks on Cafe Rose with ults available, because it just was not expected to happen. It was too much, too quick, and they could not bounce back from it. So I like the change here. This is the kind of stuff I wanted to see from their ban phase.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we haven't really seen a bad Fox player, to be honest, too. Like, that character just is so strong at the current moment in the meta. It makes sense to go for the ban in that regard. It's kind of like Gambit to that degree. Like, I don't think we've necessarily seen really bad Gambit players, just like we haven't seen really bad Fox players. Now we've seen some pretty bad Jeff play, for example, and stuff. We've seen, some suboptimal Mantis play in some regard. But for White Fox, I don't think we've really seen massive failures in that department. Maybe you could say bad ultimates and stuff, but I like it, Shib. I mean, that's a good changeup. I'm curious to see if it pans out, though, because still, I think the overarching theme for me for Cafe Rose, and it's kind of what you mentioned with the fact that so many of their players were so young, they had to get Zanji Pro Builder last second, but it's been a challenge, I think, for Pro Builder to really find his role in Cafe Rose so quickly, and I really want to see him step it up on this upcoming map for Cafe Rose to have a chance. For 100 Thieves, though, they can kind of keep playing their same game they have been playing. As we go to Shin Shibuya, it's awesome to have this map back into the hero pool.
Yeah, I love this map a ton. And I think just to kind of reiterate your point, I think you're right at Fox. Like, we haven't seen a ton of bad Fox, because I think Fox is one of those strats that when, you really test strategists when you dive them and you play on top of them 24/7. But Fox is one of the very few strategists that excels in that environment. You pull out melee for him and you can win a lot of those duels. You can actually win against a DD if you just constantly land those melees. It keeps you healthy enough to win that trade. So it's one of the only situations that is the case. So definitely a good answer to a lot of that movement. Not a bad ban there against 100 Thieves. Here comes a portal play off the rip here. Will this be valuable?
This is super interesting because they're playing support pool, by the way. And I think the only team to really want to do that a lot was the side of, we lost. I was talking to Jitward. He was saying that Deadpool needs to be Okay, this is probably leaks. I know he didn't want me to leak it, but he's saying that Deadpool should be permanently in the game no matter what, whether it's Van pool, DPS pool, whatever. There's some players of the belief that Deadpool should always be in the game no matter the ban phase.
Well, I think the advantage in the idea behind that, right, is you're building experience across the board. So if you do need to switch roles, you will have a fully, juiced out Deadpool, despite the role that you necessarily need. So we've seen teams run the strat pool early on to keep the team healthy, get a ton of experience, and switch over to dual pool and get value. And that is definitely, a huge strength that you don't see a lot. As, Deadpool in general, with all that experience, is very strong. You see the positioning here, though, from 100 Thieves on this right side. And I like this attack a lot.
Yeah, for sure. You talked about upgrades. I mean, that Deadpool's slowly getting those upgrades, eventually going to get that damage boost for the team too in the taunt. So there's so much there. And immediately Deadpool committed. They're keeping that Venom inside. He's removed. No bind down.
Yeah, that's some good peeling, and that's going to be a two-piece to Lena. We haven't seen a ton of Soldier play at all, but coming into the mix right now, and that's going to be a team sweep. Pro Builder trying to hold on, but won't be for long, as the point is defended. And Thieves, with a great hold there, are going to lock in. But Cafe Rose, I didn't mind the attack. I like the switch there from them to change the map up a little bit. But what good positioning by 100 Thieves to drop back into that corridor together and just hold on tight and clean out the rest of Cafe Rose's comp.
Yeah, I mean, this is so smart, I think, so far from the side of 100 Thieves. I mean, Winnie builds up that jackpot so quickly, able to get even more damage and healing down range. And for the rest of the squad, they hard play around it. That ult builds so quick. They also have ult self. Excellent job last fight. They have ults in this upcoming one. It's going to be free Ultron's Rage as there's no Magneto on the opposite side.
What a tackle there out of the sky, and it's going to be a big, that is a huge eye from TTK. Delena able to find respect through the chaos for the dance floor. Going to keep the rest of the team healthy and make Winnie pay for it as the boundary's now committed. Likely just obtained there. Millennia able to find picks. Zanji onto Self, though, for the trade back. Can they take this and move this forward? Delena with some good positioning, trying to find the front line. As dropping backwards now, looking towards Pro Builder, who I'm not even sure if has passive still, but good movement there on the front from Vinny to stay up in the chaos and not use that ultimate and prepare for the next fight. And now they're going to start with that freedom charge. Give a bunch of charge to that back line, as it does give alt charge increase throughout the mix and overhelp. And it's matched right back from Lyric, who gets more value. We'll find in a moment. The last stand comes out. Delena goes down. And it does look like Cafe Rose are in a position to push and take this point.
I mean, this is the most 100 Thieves thing ever to do, dude. Like, they're just all playing around each other. Winnie, by the way, does get that bounce up on a Pro Builder after he does commit the ultimate. Does he have the jackpot, though? I think he does now. Okay, so he's just going to keep flying around the point, gets that overhealth, too, just kind of helping sustain it. TTK just kind of locks down the point. But this is what I was trying to say is the whole old 100 Thieves love to just bunker up, play together as a cohesive unit, and get wins off of eyes like this from TTK. But they C9'd it. We're moving to second phase.
Yeah, I mean, that was beautiful, but the major downside there, folks, is just a little bit too high. Jumped a little bit too much there. Left point for a millisecond. That was all it took. If that did not happen, it would have been absolutely obscene. But losing point there, Cafe Rose doesn't even mind if they go down.
Yeah, excellent work from Cafe Rose to force them into that position, but unfortunate for TTK not to have a team to help follow them up and at least touch the point. Regardless, 3 minutes now for Cafe Rose. They bought themselves some more time here, Shiv, and they can get these ults in the upcoming fight alongside this Bucky, which probably was more of a first point strat, but I'm curious to see if they keep it throughout.
Yeah, I mean, you're just trying to manhandle binds here on the Venom. Millennia able to find one. Delena finding respect. Make it 3 now as Delena takes out picks. Do I see 4? We might here on the Lyric, who's trying to run away and cannot for long as the triple comes out for Delena. And now they're on defense, holding them right at the point.
It just pulls one out of spawn. Yeah, it comes back towards the main, understanding he can't get a reset. But yeah, this is going to be kind of like a hold we saw from Yeah We Lost. I think this is the new strategy we're seeing a lot in Marvel Rivals, is these unique holds, being comfortable in the uncomfortable, taking odd angles, making the other squad feel weird. And this spawn hold could work out because that door is also not open just yet for the offense.
Yeah, I mean, holding them at this point like this, where the door's not open, is insane, because you're essentially just playing point 1 all over again, and Self is going to fall there from Lyric with some good focus. It's going to be 1 down as Winnie's able to take out Zanji, evening the numbers a little bit. Millennia, Psych I lied. Now they're going to be up 1 onto Binds, and this point still hasn't gone through the door.
I mean, literally because the ult charge changes too. Like, Deadpool has ult every single other fight. Like, it feels like it's up so much compared to every other strat who maybe has ult every 2.5, for example. Nice job to fall back, but no. Okay, Millennia doesn't get any healing. Lyric again, just like the previous fight, is able to open things up for Cafe Rose without any ults. That was a great job by Cafe Rose and Lyric.
Yeah, but I would say job done there for Thieves. They just bought enough time. All they wanted to do was just stall for as long as possible. Now they win 1 or 2 and it's over. But Cafe Rose does have ult advantage here. TTK has Delena and Vinny as well. But then you look over, Lyric, Pix, Zanji, and Pro all have ult available. It is in their favor. Can they keep this going, or do Thieves bounce back on D and hold on?
See what they opt to do. I mean, over the high ground, it's still 50 seconds. You talked about it, Ship. I mean, there's still 2 good fights for 100 Thieves. They can kind of play this however they want. We saw last time Delena had this ult, he followed up on TTK's Eye of Agamotto. For Cafe Rose, can they take advantage of the current situation? They pop immediately the dance floor to counter Vinny and try to go in with the Devil's Rage on Zanji's side.
Damage boosting there in that moment, trying to find a combination. Zanji and Pro able to find a 2-piece now, and there's that combination of ultimates we were talking about as we see some big picks now. Cafe Rose are still getting this point moving, but we're in a final fight situation here for Rose. They need to keep clutching, and there will be a few answer ultimates here. TTK with that eye. Millennia, keep eyes on for that invisible boundary. The only real... Ooh, actually, they will have 3 as Bynes is very close to ultimate as well. She's going to try to play a little bit too aggro here. Or a little bit more aggro, I should say. But Pick's able to find Self early on is massive. Out goes that boundary, too, for Thieves. And that's exactly what Cafe Rose wanted.
Yeah, and they need to keep track on TTK. Millennia also committing that ultimate is huge. But don't get eyed here is probably the side of Cafe Rose. They go in with no Bynes ultimate. Eye to counter, but it may be too late. He's lost everybody, Ship.
Cafe Rose is stepping up, and this is the entirety of what just happened is exactly what they wanted. They forced out those ults early. They walk in, use Feast, and immediately put too much pressure on so that Cap can come in and clean up the rest. That was disgusting by Bynes and Lyric there to push them forward. 2 meters left in a dream here for Cafe Rose. Can they keep it going as Self starts off with the Rage of Ultron? Nobody goes down just yet. Winnie gonna start off here now and try to keep the team healthy with this ultimate, but still everybody holding on to the point. And it looks like HP bars are not moving, but now they are as Vinny commits the feast. TTK finds 1, make it 2. Do we see the shutdown now as TTK is going crazy here with this? Oh, wow, Angie, come on now on to picks 2. And that's a 3-piece. Self finding 1. Selena now, and the entirety of Rose falls as 100 Thieves hold on.
Whew. I mean, that was real close at the very end, but it's that factor we talked about with Deadpool. I mean, he got, what, like 6, 7, 8 ultimates in that entire round, and he looks like he's committing the Katana's ultimate, right, with the final exam commitment where he's landing the jackpot, getting bonus health for himself, and then also getting the healing factor refresh, too, with the upgrade. So, I mean, I think that overall, this comp has been disgusting when Winnie's been playing the Deadpool. Only downside is that, you talked about it, Lyric just kind of diving this back line, Self getting picked sometimes from across map. Self has had moments where he's looked really good on first point, but those picks kind of came through from Pixel, enabled Cafe Rose to come back into it. I think overall, 100 Thieves looked like a better team, but there is still some chance for Cafe Rose to win this ship. There's still, even though it's tiny, the odds are small. I think there is a solid shot for Cafe Rose if they get a few fights strung together on their defense.
30 seconds before you attack.
Yeah, 100 Thieves comp, at least on defense there, was just making Venom's life impossible. Bynes really not able to find too much value, besides the fact that it was pulling a lot of attention and focus. And realistically, when you are playing a dive Vanguard like Venom, like Cap, that's your goal. You don't necessarily always see it in the stats, so it did help them a ton. But now we see Thieves change things up a little bit. Vinny going to be on that group. TTK staying on the Strange. Everything else is going to stay roughly the same. But I think the idea of this group is any of that overcommitment from the Vanguard dive, they're just going to wall off and try to focus. And we're going to see a portal play come in right off the rip here. Let's see what they can do.
They go for the portal play around the backside of the map. Just kind of a traditional map flip. But for 100 Thieves side, they put Delena back onto the Phoenix. And I was curious if they would stick with the Bucky stuff. But they're just going for that 2-2-2 style to try to get a kidnap on the height. Maybe just like bait and switch to allow Self to get an angle. Where is Self at the current moment? It looks like just with the unit towards the point.
No, I really like this switch here, honestly, by Cafe Rose on their defense. This is really good positioning here, and that's going to put TTK in a very tough spot, able to drop back. Pick's almost finding that. Self, very low, going to burn that passive. So that is another win here for the side of Cafe Rose. What a switch to answer that portal. But here goes that commitment, like you're talking about. Winnie immediately starting off with that ultimate, walking them forward. TTK is able to find one on to Pix in the back line, and they will be up a number after a huge tackle comes in from Self.
Yeah, nice job to bring him back. Green's used as well in the height. We might see more of this later on. I'll talk about it later, but TTK takes down Lyric. Even more have to touch. This Deadpool stuff, you build up that ult so fast. They also have other straddles coming up in a second. Cafe Rose can't even touch. We're head to second phase. But, Shiv, I really think as long as Vanpool gets banned, or maybe even when Vanpool doesn't get banned, we're going to see so much more strat pool moving forward, especially with these really tough first-point conversion convergence maps, because you build up that ult so quickly. They play for straddles and they go in fast.
Yeah, you might be right there, buddy, as we see the portal play come in, and this is just to stall some time, like we saw Thieves do against Cafe Rose. A lot of ults get committed here. Zanji, Respect holding on to ult, and there goes that copy. We are going to see a Venn diagram as both boundaries are now committed. Now, just going to be for Rose, giving them the advantage. 100 Thieves took some time to download that defense strategy from Cafe Rose, but they downloaded it well, and they took home that point early. But now Cafe Rose are going to come in hot on the back of a huge clobbering time and sweep the side of 100 Thieves and try to do the exact same thing here on this point.
Well, the door is open, and you're right, they are doing the exact same thing. They're just ripping the book straight out of 100 Thieves playbook. That's pretty funny. A lot of ults committed, though, regardless of the cycling fight. Lyric could be big with another Eye of Agamotto. He did hit a big one earlier. But 100 Thieves, I mean, they've got the Groot ultimate. They could just eat it in the backline, and look who's self. He's flanked already this position for Cafe Rose, who are already giving up card space because they're a little bit confused.
Yeah, it looks like Thieves are now trying to find a way around this, much like we saw Rose try to figure out for a moment. Took them a few fights. As we see some commitment now. Down goes that end song. Winnie committing ultimate as well. Nobody
nice job.
losing too much as Pix counters those ultimates simply with an invisible boundary, but Self able to take out Binds. Eye of Agamotto gets committed, 8 lands on a few. Will they be able to get these picks? Lyric tried, but did not. Was not able to do that. TTK still gets Lyric after that trade, and Self able to drop back. And the door does close.
Yeah, door closes. Everybody else just funnels towards that cart. I almost thought it was a good fight for Cafe Rose, but the fact they lost somebody earlier after that invisible boundary enabled the side of 100 Thieves. And, you know, like they disengaged the eye partially, but they just lost one earlier on. Now they're going to that same mirror comp ship, it looks like, except for the Emma instead of the Groot. But they have Emma, Cap, and they're going to have Pro Builder onto that Wolverine to match Self on the opposite side without any ultimates, though, Shib. So this could be worrisome if they get a few fights strung together and Self gets a little bit sneaky with that Wolf ult.
Yeah, Cafe Rose is got to move forward here and try to get 2 fights out of this so they can build ults, but the lettuce is not up in here. Goodbye, Binds off the rip. Now looking backwards and takes that height right back. Looking for Zanji, and oh man, that was some good tracking, but a huge tackle comes right back from Pro Builder. Zaletta gonna fall after that trade. Almost getting the pick first. Picks able to find that one. The walls are up. They're broken now. Invisible boundary committed. Lyric, Emma just trying to burn this front line, and there goes Vinny, and that's what this comp is going to be able to do now that they have Pro Builder also on that Wolverine. They're just going to try to just destroy this front line and play a new style of Vanguard Buster. Zanji finds TTK as well.
Yeah, excellent healing there from the side of Respect and Pixel. Pixel specifically kept Sanji alive, trying to just like hard int away from the squad when it looked like usually Deleno would get that KO. So excellent job from him. Allowed Pro Builder to get that tackle counter to Self, who was finding the tackles earlier. Now in this upcoming fight, Cafe Rose can draw on out. They can maybe get a big ultimate with the Unsung Inferno, but it's going to be tough to deal with the pressure that's going to come from Winnie's jackpot in a moment.
And there goes more commitment. And Song Inferno comes down to get rid of some of that overhealth instantaneously when it does land. Good crystal pull there from Lyric. Does have Psionic available too, but it's very difficult to land Psionic into a Groot who maybe has wall available. No, it doesn't look like Vinny does, and a tackle comes through. Out goes Crystals to try to counteract. Is that going to be enough to keep Vinny healthy in the front line? It is. Self trying to move forward here. The whole team going to stay healthy, and out goes the boundary, but this time from the side of Pixel, who is keeping Cafe Rose healthy. TTK goes down from Lyric, and the defense side here from Cafe Rose is looking insane right now.
Yeah, I mean, Lyric's just able to do whatever he wants. Backs away, understanding he's the focus. That Wolf ult by Self committed, but it's countered by the Diamond Form. Excellent job to remove that CC. And Cafe Rose are holding on off of Emma play that is just straight out of a play out of Shib's book on TikTok.
Dude, this is an insane hold from Cafe Rose, and they do have ult advantage. Self missing that ult there because of the Diamond Form is so valuable here. Pro Builder now does have Last Stand ready. No Binds has an answer. Respect does. Yes, Strangling Prison is a big win condition here, but going into Respect on that low-key, Crystals are an immediate answer without committing ultimates. We'll see what they elect to do here in a moment.
Well, they're going with the Emma early on by TTK, matched by no Binds ult. They're trying to flip the pace, but do they have the members to stop Vinny and this Groot's attacks? It looks like they're backed up for now, building up towards yet another Deadpool and Invisible Boundary, but look who's on the flank. It's that Wolverine with the ultimate. Could be huge for Pro Builder. Yes!
It does land on the back line. It does find a few there as Nobides cleans up Vinny. 3 go down here. And Cafe Rose are making this look like this is their game. And they are popping off. Zanji on a Deletta. Another pick here on the side of TTK. Self has to drop back 8 seconds and a dream now for 100 Thieves. Can they portal back in time? They should have the time, but the commitment needs to be fast. It's there. On to point with a millisecond left. And can they hold? Cafe Rose going to commit now with the Psionic, and that doesn't seem to do too much. Does pull Vinny, and Vinny goes down. Another pick comes in, and Cafe Rose want to push this to game 3. 100 Thieves are falling down, and that could be it. It is 100 Thieves lose this, and it goes to map 3.
Oh my God, Cafe Rose. What a crazy turnaround. That sliver of hope they held on to so strongly. 100 Thieves losing on a map that you would assume they would be solid at, and they had all of the time bank in the world. That's genuinely insane, that Cafe Rose hold there, and excellent observing towards the very end to catch the play, which was Pro Builder, the player we were talking about that had to make a difference, coming through on that Wolverine and being absolutely huge, just like Self was on Wolverine, was matching it, and also well-deserved MVP for Pixel and Cafe Rose's strat line, who played it perfectly. Maybe that's also why we see Invisible Woman sort of targeted as a last ban, and could be a factor moving forward to counter these Wolf plays when there's no Magneto on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think, although Self got 9 finals and looked really good, I'm just not sure the early Ultron lock like that is worth it in this meta right now. But hey, I'm not on these teams or behind the scenes on stats and scrims. And I will say that the side of Cafe Rose on that defense took a page out of 100 Thieves' hold, portaled quickly to bide time, and then from then on just kept winning some of those battles, and that was all that was necessary. Taking fights quickly, building ults, and then winning alt fights. Cafe Rose locked in, and we will see if they could take home game 3 right after this break.
Welcome back, everyone, to Marvel Rivals Ignite preseason, and there is still a little bit of gas left in Cafe Rose, able to take us to a map 3, unexpectedly so. I'll say from my end, I'll put my hands up. I thought maybe this one was going to be done and dusted, but they've shown a little bit of something special here, Dogman. What changed for Cafe Rose? Where did that come from?
I mean, the comps, right? This is kind of what we saw out of a lot of the top teams so far, is just figuring out what to switch to at the right time. And you saw 100 Thieves didn't react, right? They kept playing the Ultron stuff, they kept playing the Deadpool, and slowed down their pace to a halt. Whereas on the opposition, I mean, they also kind of slowed it down, which kind of threw 100 Thieves off, right? They allowed their Wolverine to set up flanks. Self, we didn't see as much out of him after the counter Wolverine swap came through, and that's what's enabled Cafe Rose on that map. So huge Wolverine plays out of Pro Builder and the squad.
Shib, do you think this now puts Cafe Rose at a potential advantage going into Museum of Contemplation? Because momentum's on their side. They're going to be feeling themselves a little bit here, and maybe 100 Thieves going to be a little bit worried.
Yeah, momentum is a huge thing in Marvel Rivals, and mental's huge. We heard a little bit ago the conversation that, you know, if you're not feeling it as a squad, you're going to struggle. We saw that from Nightmare, as Mace kind of mentioned. They were struggling a little bit, but now they're feeling more confident and they're finding their footings. That's why the games are looking better. It's just the inverse, right? If you lose like that on a map that you felt confident on with a pretty decent hold, and you just get kind of swept for like 5 straight fights, you're going to go into this next first fight feeling a little bit on your heels, and it's going to make it more difficult as we head over to Museum of Contemplation.
And I don't know what the mathematicians are like behind the scenes at 100 Thieves, but it turns into a pretty dicey tiebreaker situation if they lose this matchup. I'm sure they are cranking the numbers behind the scenes at the moment to make sure they can work out, are we through? Are we not going to be through? They probably are going to have to wait for results happening elsewhere, but the main thing they can do here is just finding a win and taking down Cafe Rose. Now, I'm not going to count out 100 Thieves. I think after that first match, we know full well what they're capable of here, Dogman. But if you were kind of behind 100 Thieves, if you were on 100 Thieves, you know, as an ex-pro player yourself, what would you change up going into this map 3?
I mean, like, I would assume it's just going to be... The ban phase was generally kind of fine. I mean, I would be okay maybe getting rid of the Invisible Woman and stuff towards the very end if they're going to play more Wolverine stuff. Obviously, it's a bit different on Museum. I think this is going to be a big change-up. But regardless, for 100 Thieves' side, I think that... It's always tough, right? Because they definitely looked like a way better team on map number 1. The fact they won domination, but it seems like it's the classic situation where you take 1 step forward, 2 steps back, right? that game was almost unlosable, sort of like with the way I would say Nightmare every game, like Mace talked about, the fact that they've gone to 3 maps every single time. Like 100 Thieves literally just snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory right there. Like, it genuinely seemed like 100 Thieves had so much time to work with second phase, but some of these maps, Shin Shibuya specifically, can be deceptive, I guess, right? Like, it feels like you're right there towards the very end, and then you just get stopped. So realistically, if you get stopped that many times in a Streets phase, it's probably just going to be up to switching your composition a little bit. They just got to do that, right? I think the Deadpool stuff was good at the very beginning, but they just couldn't make plays off of Self. They couldn't do stuff with him later on, and I think that's what stopped them in that second phase.
But I mean, Shib, Cafe Rose should be more than proud of themselves, not only with the performance so far, but just in general here in preseason. Remember, of course, they competed in MRC, find themselves now in MRI. There's always going to be a lot of eyes on you. There's going to be that situation where you feel that extra pressure. But even if they don't qualify for playoffs, I think we're still pretty excited to see what they can do going into the main season.
Oh, 1,000%. This team showed right there on their attack on point 2, being down ultimates, being way back in point with a minute left. They won 3 consecutive fights down ults. They had huge commitment on every single ult play and won. They have the talent. They showed it right there against 100 Thieves, a storied team, a team that doesn't make a ton of mistakes. And they kept finding that little crack in the defense and pushing forward. And that is truly what won them that map. That attack, that point 2 with a minute left, won them that map.
Well,
yeah, and it was a brilliant watch, wasn't it, Dog?
It was, and I got something too on that. Like, I feel like a real factor that I've been missing on, and I don't know if you guys agree, but I think that we haven't seen a lot of like TTK so far, right? Like, you know what? Like, I feel like he wants to go over to Ange a lot of the times. Like, I feel like he feels like he's a little bit more proactive on that hero compared to Doctor Strange. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Because I feel like the reason why 100 Thieves maybe aren't winning as much or being as proactive is because we don't have TTK on a character that can make plays as much as an Angela can, for example, like we've seen him do on map number 1.
Well, I do think that there has been a little bit of talk on Reddit or whatever social media platform you'd like to use about TTK and how deep his hero pool is. How much does that come into the equation, Ship? Because comfort is everything, but of course, meta sometimes just shifts you away from your comfort zones. In a scenario like this, should you just be looking towards comfort instead of playing the meta?
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because I do think as a whole right now, the meta is very much shifted towards dive, which I do think controller players struggle a little bit on. I think that Cap Venom looks so good right now. And I think TTK is dominant on virtually like a lot of the mainline Vanguards, those Vanguards that are more V1s and hold down point and make huge plays. But maybe it's not as much of his meta, but still, he still has big time. We saw some huge alts, like we saw that strange alt. If that hold there on that 0.1, if that strange alt just didn't go the inch too high, it would have been game winning. But, again, you're right. I think we saw him when he switched to that Angela get a ton of value. Maybe, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just not quite his meta.
Fantastic on AMER as well, though, that we've seen. TTK
True.
has been playing incredibly. Yesterday, in particular, really surprised me and popped off. So I think there's definitely something to be said here for TTK going into this final one. Speaking of, the ban phase is ready. So, gents, enjoy this one. It's going to be a fun one. Who's going to win, 100 Thieves or CR?
We start up now, folks. 100 Thieves, knowing them, they want to bounce back heavy and take this home quick. Museum of Contemplation has led to a lot of fun matches over this preseason. Off the rip, the first band going to come out to be that Gambit. Goodbye to the Elsa as well.
After this draft phase, Shib, I want to see who you got. Because, I mean, like you guys were talking about, the mathematicians going ham right now. And this is always the worst case scenario for 100 Thieves, by the way, is they go for the Gambit ban first. Cafe Rose goes for the Elsa ban first. I feel like they always do so much better when everybody's doubting them, and then the moment anybody switches up, it just is the opposite. I feel like 100 Thieves looks so good map number 1, and then look at that, map number 2 they lose. So who knows with this team in the current moment, right? We'll see if Cafe Rose maybe this map is a better map for them. Could be that Shin Shibuya is a tough one, but still Cafe Rose get the Elsa through, and I wonder if how Delena feels about that too, Shib, because the fact that we can't play Elsa so far throughout. Is kind of a little bit disheartening, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just surprised we're not seeing, I don't know, like the immediate lock of Gambit or something. It's always something a little more off than the main 2 meta picks, and I think that's maybe just comfort in general here. But I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it fully, as it happens nearly every single time. But without saying that, I think honestly what happened there on the last map was just that Thieves just lost concentration, because I think they had a great attack and defense, but it's just like this one fight and this one batch of fights that they struggle with, and I think that's all it really is. Yeah.
One, Cafe Rose, they go for the Invis ban, or Protect, sorry. And that's kind of what I was thinking. 100 Thieves, they want to play the Loki because I think that they did well versus FlyQuest, just with Winnie playing it at a very high level. Just around the map, just a very good Loki player, so they go for the counter Loki ban. But I was thinking maybe they would go for the Invis ban, 100 Thieves would, on this map, just because of how much work I think Respect and Pixel were doing. So that's really smart out of them. They get the Daredevil, though, and that is a very big change-up, Shib, because we now get to see Self back on the Daredevil, just like we did versus FlyQuest in that game number 3, only a few days ago.
Yeah, and the group ban there for Vinny, this is one of those maps that group can find a ton of success. There's a lot of small chokes that not only can you wall off, but you can set up for, and I think setup is massive on Museum. So removing that too, but you're right. Yeah, Self going to be able to play that DD. We've seen what happens when Self's on DD. It is disgusting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like now. Pro Builder showing that Adam pick. It's looked really good on some maps, and some maps I'm just not sure it's always the answer. So we'll see what it looks like here, as 100 Thieves will be attacking first.
True. I don't like that. I just maybe it's just how I'm feeling about Pro Build. Pro Builder's a good Adam Warlock, don't get me wrong, but I just I kind of agree with a lot of people. Why would you run Adam Warlock if you could run an Ultron and stuff? It does feel like Adam's just not as good this patch. And even with the Mantis stuff, they were doing Mantis, Adam Warlock before. So I don't know. That's going to be very interesting, but almost. I don't know. I still think Cafe Rose ban phase went pretty solid. We'll have to see if they actually stick with Adam Warlock as we take a look at the map overall, Museum of Contemplation. And we have to contemplate the mathematics of the current moment, just because of the fact that if 100 Thieves lose this, they could be out of the playoff, Shib. I mean, that would be crazy if 100 Thieves don't make
no matter
it
what, it goes to Yeah, it goes to tiebreakers, right? And you'd never want to leave it in the hand of tiebreakers. There's just too much permutations of what could go wrong in situations that would leave you out. And 100 Thieves, I mean, we know they have the talent to move forward. It's just, that would be absolutely insane here. Cafe Rose just stepping up whenever they need to. See what it looks like now as the defense begins. Remember, Thieves can't be on that Groot, but Lyric is going to be on that Groot on their side to help take some of that space for free. Dropping back already. It looks like Thieves, excuse me, are looking really good on this attack and already taking this corner. And they're not able to really find any of that backline played. No dive, no commitment on 100 Thieves right now. They're playing slow. I think everybody's a little bit nervous off the rip here.
Yeah, Cafe Rose, they're playing the Atom because they want to like hard bunker up, it looks like, and play around Zanji. But the tough part is with Adam Warlock is you want to play off angles and stuff. However, there's no off angles controlled. 100 Thieves just walk at you and already find the first pick.
And Winnie's on Fox again, and I will say I think Winnie's a really good Fox and plays very aggro. Self going to be back on, at least for now, that Ultron. I think this triple back line, when you do have Ultron Foxes, looked really good for Thieves. It's like their specialty right now. But Pro Builder going to self-res back picks, able to find Self after committing the boundary. TTK the only one to launch ult there for Thieves. We'll see what it looks like more as we begin. Portal play coming through. That's from Cafe Rose. That's a huge cooldown to pull out now, though.
Well, Vinny going down while his team's still backed up, so great fight so far for Cafe Rose. Still Cocoon out from Pro Builder. If this works, that'd be crazy. I'm not a big fan of the Adam Warlock. We'll have to see if it changes up, though, as we did see 100 Thieves commit that Ensong Inferno. Delena's been building up this whole every single fight so far. Looks like he has it again. Brutal cross map. That's insane.
Wow, and they are able to find one through it. Yeah, I know, dude, that is insane. Finding one through that is obscene.
Ow.
Usually you need a combo to make that happen. Just some really good targeted damage, it looks like, from Zanji. And that's the thing. I mean, Elsa's so good at percent-based damage. Remember, pulling out that rifle after using abilities does percent-based damage. So you can really chunk if you combo well. And that's why when you get those full stacks, you become an absolute demon. TTK going to be on that Van Pool, and that ult is available right towards the back line. They're going to look for some commitment from the dive, but gets pushed away, and there goes Self now with the Rage of Ultron, trying to break this shield that is from Strange and no binds. There's the dance floor now to answer back. Self in a tough spot, half HP in a dream, is able to escape for that moment. Nobody goes down just yet, but there are so many ults available here for Thieves. Can they get value right now? Delena in a low ceiling, very hard to break. Out goes the Eye of Agamotto, but Winnie says not up in here. Goodbye to Binds, excuse me. And the res comes through now. TTK and Self able to find two. Pro Builder bringing the team back. Winnie gonna find picks, but everybody is gonna res back up on the retake. Will that retake work for them? We'll see in a moment.
I mean, right now it's kind of working. The res coming through does bring back all these members, but you also have the Fox ultimate from Winnie. 100 Thieves side ring out of ult soon. Zanji off map with the Glortrox. He finds two. No ways. The res to come back to find those KOs. Enables Cafe Rose again.
This is absolutely insane. Everything was committed there, and the res was massive from Pro Builder. They used everything 100 Thieves, but you gotta track that Atom. If you do not have an answer for the Atom, every ult you commit is just value, value, value for the res. Pro Builder brings everyone back, respect, launches that boundary, and everyone's full HP after that. With no answer ultimates, Lyric gonna be the only one with ult available, as Millennia is very close. Delena close as well. Will 100 Thieves be able to do this as we are entering final fight territory?
Well, right now, TTK being like sort of maintained Deadpool right now. You do have the animal committed by Lyric. Jumps away, though, as Delena gets the peel. But can they find him? Soul Bond is well committed. The Venom is found on Lyric, but that happened before. Can 100 Thieves finally capitalize? They have ult advantage. We go in with Invisible Boundary. Can we get the KOs?
Yeah, that was a massive ult there from Millennia, playing aggro with that boundary to slow everyone for the dive. Big brain play there as Pro Builder goes down, and that's going to be three. Do we see a fourth here? Delena with some nice tracking able to make that happen, but the stall has begun. 1 meter left on the point as we see the shift over to that DD, the story DD from Self, finding two, actually three. Do I see four? We don't even need it as TTK cleans up Lyric.
I mean, that was close. Really enabled by Lyric going so aggressive, coming back, the pocket there from Millennia to keep Delena alive as well, peeled them off. But the portal play, fast play by Cafe Rose, just to get as many fights as possible. Just like we've seen some top teams do earlier in 100 Thieves on the defense of Shin Shibuya. Same thing with them on Shin Shibuya.
Yeah, try to take that in the ladder with you folks. If you do have your team stacking after a retake like that, after your team goes down, wow, Vinny, you with a three-piece is going to be on. I talked about it. I wanted to see more Venom from Vinny because I know he has it in the bag, and that's a clean showing as Delena cleans up the rest after that aggressive portal there from Cafe Rose. But I do think that aggressive portal is typically the play early on. Try to buy some time, but tell you what, Thieves did not give them much time there.
Well, I do like, I mean, they're playing a little bit proactive, right? This is what we talk about teams doing, making plays, you know, not necessarily bunkering up. This is a different sort of 100 Thieves that we saw on the previous map, as they're actually, you know, now going up, going aggressive, and making something happen.
Yeah, and we can see now everybody start engaging from the side of Cafe Rose, moving forward with the dance floor picks. Going to have to drop back, not getting too much value with that. Winnie with the Fox available. TTK, gotta love seeing TTK on the Vanpool. Just absolutely disgusting on that hero. A hero that absolutely fits his style of play. Is going to launch that ultimate, not get too much value, but it does pull out a strat line. So Psych, I lied, that's big value. They still lose to Lena there from the side of Pro Builder, who does have res available. Ayabagamoto's big onto Winnie, who does not go down, as the invisible boundaries now committed to keep the team healthy. Oh my goodness! Sanji!
Disgusting. That Glartrox got everybody in the middle of the invisible boundary. That's fight win off of that. And that Fox ult, by the way, did nothing with that eye. I mean, the eye just countered it all. Sadly, maybe that's why we haven't seen the Fox bans throughout. It's just because that ultimate can get deleted so fast, kind of like Rocket Raccoon to a degree. Excellent work by Cafe Rose with the proactive plays out of their Vanguard and Zanji. Can they keep it up, though? Upcoming fight, Lyric does have that Groot ult. He could end this fight before it even starts.
Yeah, this could be a massive ultimate here. Cafe Rose on defense looking really solid self. After switching that DD, it started to lock in heavily. And there goes the Strangling Prison. Does it find the backline? Not sure it gets too much. It does find one. Bind's going to make it 2. There goes more commitment. Point needs 11 seconds, 10 seconds for the touch. Got to be there within 3 at the end in order to push this into OT. There is the 5-second countdown beginning. Winnie trying to look backwards. Are they on it? I do believe TTK was there for the touch. Good clean play there. Bind's now looking towards TTK, who tries to stay alive but goes down instantaneously. The boundary comes out. The feast gets committed. Who gets more value in this combo of ultimates? We'll see in a moment. There is going to be the dance of the Cutterfly towards the back line, but you got to keep eyes on point as Delena's able to find Zanji. That's a big pick. Now looking towards the back line, but the res comes through. Everyone will be back here from Cafe Rose, and I'm not sure Thieves can break this.
He's shooting the wall. He was shooting the wall at the time, but Vinny's trying to stall. Nobody else is there. 100 Thieves got stop second phase shift. That school bus is broken down.
Wow. Cafe Rose are looking so solid right now. It is insane. And you know what? Everything I said about the Atom comp, this map, it has absolutely worked. I take it back on defense. It looked really good. It kept getting value. The overcommitment of ultimates to try to sweep, and then you look at the KO feed and you just see everyone back in the fight. And then they're commit a strat ult, something from Respect, the invisible boundary. Next thing you know, not only does everyone have a ton of overhealth, but they're all full HP as well, right back in the fight after you used every single ultimate. Very clean play.
I don't know if I'm crazy, but dude, the Vanpool, by the way, just like my biggest problem with this character, and I saw this when I was watching Vess's POV for FlyQuest too, it just feels like the character does so much, but like so little at the same time. Like it just feels like TTK. I mean, look at the damage. Like he was doing a solid amount of damage for sure and stuff, and so was the rest of the squad. But I mean, they just had no capitalization off of like Vinny's dives and stuff. Like after Vinny went in, he would get frozen, get CC'd, go down. But like, I mean, the Vanpool would like flank, get his ult off, and then get countered by Invis. So they would get the strat ults out. But then after that, like, what was he doing on Deadpool, I guess? Like, whenever I was watching Vest POV for FlyQuest, man, like, it just felt so hopeless. Like, you're kind of, like, doing a lot, but also you can't make too many, like, individual plays on Vanguard Deadpool, like it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because we talk about you need to land it on strats that have to aim and can make some mistakes. But when you have Bond available, when you have Loki Crystals available, when you have a ton of these different answers, and maybe, Crystals weren't available necessarily there, but when you have Invisible Boundary or the Invisible Shield available, if you have ways to keep yourself healthy without forcing you to aim and try to track for heals, and while still keeping your team healthy, it is a really tough situation for Vanpool to play into. And although I think he's incredibly strong right now, obviously it's nearly impossible to get finals with that ult, but still ton of distraction value there from TTK. Great stat line, looking good, but now gonna switch it up and go Strange.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if we get like the Mantis and stuff, we could like get the actual damage on range, but you're right, without the damage boost, that could be a difference maker. But it's interesting, we could go for a strat pool or something in the Ultron. We're making 100 Thieves uncomfortable by putting them onto that Atom comp, which is,
yeah.
I mean, Delena's good on Atom, don't get me wrong, but it is interesting, that mix-up that we're making 100 Thieves have to do.
And Pro Builder's going to be on the Storm here, keeping the team boosted in terms of damage. is the idea with Zanji. You just want to make Zanji a raid boss, and farming that out relatively quickly. The whole team is, because of that storm damage boost, folks. It's not just breakpoints that change. You farm your ult faster when you deal more damage. It is a math equation based on damage. TTK with a big bubble lands that, and they're able to clean up respect. Good start there, as Self is going to be on that Magneto. Millennia finds Lyric, and 100 Thieves are locking back in here, and they want this W. They want a whole point one.
Yeah, that's a lot better. I mean, you can see the immediate impact TTK has with that ult after switching off of Deadpool, going over to the Doctor Strange. Excellent job. The bubble by Self, like you mentioned, Shiv. Now this upcoming fight, he's going to be holding on to this to help peel off maybe that Groot, trying to counter Lyric. Let's see if Lyric can get a little fancy with that Groot ultimate, as Shroud ults could delay the fight out, but Delena, look, he's reading it. Even if his team does Groot ulted, we'll see if he's out of the fight.
Res is available here for Delena, trying to do the same thing they saw from Pro Builder. Pick's going to launch the dance floor from Cafe Rose. Doesn't seem to keep the team or give them enough value for a return pick right now, as the entirety of the front line of 100 Thieves is fully healthy. Delena just trying to find an off-angle pick at the moment and protect the back line. This is really smart positioning. Waiting for Bond, potentially. Crystals are going to be committed instead. Don't need to overuse cooldowns. No Binds is going to be healthy from that ult. Nobody goes into the Glartrox, though. That land does not come in from Self on the meatball there, the Meteor M, as nobody's getting value off these ultimates right now. The tackle comes in onto TTK, who tries to reverse. And it's massive. Can TTK get a pick off this? Respect goes down. Another should fall here. At least the passive gets popped. Respect and Pixel fall. What an answer there by TTK.
Yeah, oh no, poor Pro Builder, man. He's like, okay, I'm going to get him, guys. He'll bring him back into us, and then they get eyed. Didn't think he would have to use his Wolverine ult as last stand. Maybe he's saving it for Delena's res, or one of these Shroud ults, which they haven't needed to use. The tough part is Cafe Rose haven't gotten any cooldowns forced early, and that's why 100 Thieves have just been able to get so much done, even with the Adam Warlock playing so far back. Cafe Rose need to isolate somebody and maybe get some early cooldowns, some shield usage by 100 Thieves, but they commit immediately with the Invisible Boundary.
Yeah, when we're seeing that Museum can absolutely be one of those triple hold maps, as 100 Thieves are doing it clinically right now. Pro Builder able to find Millennia is a good start, but is traded right back as Lyric finds... Lyric goes down. The res comes in from Delena to keep Millennia back in the fight. We saw the attempt there from Binds to get more value. Zanji able to take out Vinny, though, who it will res as well. When you see that res available, you essentially just intentionally in as a team. Pro Builder trying to land one. Does find Winnie, who's still healthy, and is going to try to copy up with a good teleport out to use Invisible Boundary should they need it.
Yeah, a lot of that worked out. I mean, Vinny got his ult canceled by that Wolverine grab, saved it for the Invis, or rather saved it for the res. Invis counter for the defense. Zanji comes in with the Glartrox. Does it connect on anybody? It looks like there's one in it itself. And also, Millennia goes down. I walk about from TDK. Is it too late? He finds backline, but do they find the KOs after it? They do get the Delena too, but just respect going down is not enough for 100 Thieves. They're sent back to spawn. Res cooldowns used as well.
It's all about this retake here, as we are in an OT situation. It is final fight territory. Ult advantage going to be in favor of Vinny and Self here for 100 Thieves. Do they get the value out of these ultimates? They will not have crystals to worry about. The portal comes through. It's all about this fight right here, folks. 100 Thieves fans need something big to happen here, as Cafe Rose is using this momentum. Self does have that Meteor M available. Likely going to use it to try to counter if need be. Trying to keep the team healthy right now as no Binds dives in. There is that Invisible Boundary. The tackle comes in from Builder onto Winnie, who portals in, and that's going to be another pick onto Self, who does not seem to land the Meteor M, and they might get this point here as Cafe Rose are up in numbers.
Delena, by the way, back onto the Loki, has copied a second, but they're down people. When he's coming back on the Jeff, does come back fast, but the claws are out, Shiv. And when the claws are out, it's hard to exist as a tank and live in this world. Everybody's in this cart. Second phase. Mrs. Frizz, we might beat 100 Thieves.
This is insane. Cafe Rose stepping up to the talent and looking incredibly clean. Thieves with only Millennia's ult available in this next fight. Need to stop Builder, Zanji, Lyric, and Pix. This is going to be an incredibly tough fight to retake, but Thieves would be the team that could be able to do it. Cafe Rose has done it on map 2. Will it happen, but this time in the favor of the Thieves? We'll find out in just a moment.
All right, Zanji has a chance to etch his name into MRC and MRI history. What can they do? I mean, they play it slow. There it goes out with the Groot ultimate. They get the greens out. Invis Boundaries here. Can they get KOs through it? Everybody's in the ult. The last stand is not here. What is good? It does get Winnie. Is that enough more after that? No, they fall back.
Yeah, they're going to have to force retake here. TTK's in a dangerous spot. Binds finds that pick. TTK taking out Zanji, who reses right back. Not enough. Delena gonna touch the point there with the bird. Does that. And Vinny falls. And it looks like this may happen for Cafe Rose here, who find another as Self goes down. Winnie gonna bring back Vinny. Pro Builder again onto Delena. And Cafe Rose are looking unstoppable right now. But Vinny able to find one. Will that be enough here? The Glortrox is out. It finds two. And oh my goodness, folks, that could do it here. Oh my goodness! This might be it! Cafe Rose are unstoppable, and they win this series!
Final score, 2-2.
The Glortrox of Glortroxes, man. Like, holy crap, poor Vinny. He just had his ult in his second ship. He almost had it, just gets ripped away from the point. Can't stall for any longer, self-force to stall, and that does it. Where's the mathematicians at now? Because, by God, Cafe Rose could be in the playoffs and have a chance to eliminate 100 Thieves after that win. And another MVP goes to Pixel. And this backline of Cafe Rose doesn't get enough love for sure, but I think after today, they will.
I mean, this is absolutely obscene. Gaskin, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm currently getting the calculators out. I'm checking all of the numbers. I'm trying to crunch it myself. It's all going to come down to what happens later with Sen versus NRG. Both teams are going to have to watch that matchup and see who wins that one and by how much, because it is going to be tiebreaker central with how things are going. But Cafe Rose have put their best foot forward here. 100 Thieves, have they dropped the ball at the last minute? Is there a world where tiebreaker suddenly turns it around and they don't make playoffs? Only time will tell, but it's certainly going to be them relying on someone else to do it for them now at this point. Cafe Rose go huge. Insane match, and I think that it was a match that we deserve to see as well. We were saying that Cafe Rose have this potential. Map 1 was pretty lackluster from them though, so we're wondering, is it going to be good enough? And then suddenly, when we get to Convergence, when we get to Convoy, Cafe Rose show us Adam Warlock is still here, is still present, and very much a meta hero. Dog, I mean, how are you feeling about that one? I mean, we were kind of just watching with bated breath in that final moments while Shib was talking us through it.
Yeah, maybe you and Shib are right. I got to write an apology letter to the Golden God himself because I was not a believer. I just wasn't. And it worked, right? Like, I don't know what to say besides fun series, like you said, Gask. I mean, that was a super fun one to watch. And the week 2's delivered. I don't know, man. Like, first of all, it'd be crazy if 100 Thieves don't make it to the playoffs in the preseason just because they're one of our best franchises in North America. I mean, just historically, they've always done well internationally. Top 4 finishes a lot of the time at midseason and grand finals. FlyQuest, the only team to match that and get further at the grand finals, obviously, but they're still that team internationally for us in North America. So if they were to not make the preseason playoffs, I know it's just the preseason, but that would be genuinely insane and really a changing of the guard right now, Shib, right? Like, this feels like a real upcoming, like, the newbies are stepping up now, finally.
Dude, the Americas region is insane. I have no idea who's going to win any given game. What is in the water? Dude, what is in the water? How many reverse sweeps are we going to see? I'm mind blown right now. I can't even speak, Asking.
Again, it's just in best of 3. It seems like anything can happen. And I mean, you don't need to be a mathematician to know that there's going to be 3 teams on 2 and 3 after today finishes. Because you've got Sen going up against NRG Shock. Both of them are 2 and 2 right now. One of them is going to end up at 3-2. One of them is going to end up at 2-3. And that means we're going to have 3 teams tied. And then again, it comes down to tiebreakers. At first, it's head-to-head. Secondly, then it goes down to map records if the head-to-head is tied between all those teams. After map records, well, that's when you then get into SOV business. And after that, it becomes a tiebreaker match that may have to happen. So there's a lot of insane permutations that could happen. But one thing that I know, there's going to be a very happy person in our interview. We've got No Binds coming in from Cafe Rose. No Binds, what an amazing matchup that was from you guys. You must be on top of the world right now.
Bro, I'm ecstatic, bro. Like, that, this is such a great feeling right now, you know? Like, listen, we're just like free to play players. We're just coming in here, you know, coming from MRC. We're popping off right now, you know, just trying to like show we belong here. I think we're doing great right now.
That's the thing, is that you guys do not look out of place whatsoever. Now, you may have heard me as I was introing that there is a lot of ifs and buts with tiebreakers coming into it. Are you guys just going to be watching, kind of biting your nails going into that matchup of Sen versus NRG?
Yeah, I mean, going up into that matchup against Sen versus NRG, I do pray that a certain team wins. Like, I'm just trying to secure our qual spot, so hopefully things go our way. I'm just trying to make the playoffs. Get our team out there and, show we can get even further.
I'm first of all, I'm just in shock and awe. Sorry, like this is genuinely insane that this happened. I'm sure you guys are even more just freaking out, popping off, like you said, because not only that, like you guys top 3 in MRC coming through into this and winning in that matter when you guys had to replace players last second. I mean, first of all, just to allow you to give some shout outs real quick, and then I'll ask a real question, dude. Like, do you have any shout outs to anybody in your team? Obviously, Pro Builder and Sanji coming in and doing work, but in your backline playing well, and then you obviously doing insane. Just any shout outs to anybody you want to say real quick?
I mean, shout out to honestly the whole team. I love all my teammates. They're all great players. Shout out to my boy Chris or Lyric. He was hitting those crazy griddles for us, securing for us. Shout out to Zanji on the Elsa, bro. He's like popping off, literally hitting fat ult after ult after ult. My backline respect Pixel, absolute goats. And then Pro Builder just on the Wolf, holy absolute masterclass. And then of course I do want to shout out the boys, Sticky and Tree. They are the goats that helped us get into Ignite, so I do want to give them a shout out too. But no, the team is great.
Of course. Well, this kind of comes down to like vibes and stuff too, because obviously leading into this matchup, I mean, you guys versus 100 Thieves, I think you had a good read in the draft. Can you walk us through that maybe without giving away too much information? But if we go back and take a look at, I think the second maps draft was a really good change up for you guys, and the third. What really gave you the edge in that draft phase versus 100 Thieves?
I mean, I think with every Ignite team, like every team has their gimmick, and so as long as you play to ban around that, even if they're extremely insane players, you just try and get rid of their best comps and try and make sure you can run your good comps, and then that's just how we went about it for the ban phase.
Beautiful. I mean, but I can't imagine the hype and what the team comms must have sounded like at the end there, kind of piggybacking off of what Dog said. I mean, and also shout out again, you kind of mentioned Tree and Sticky. You lost 2 players right before this started. You've gained 2 new players, and you're playing against some of the best teams and showing up and beating some of the best teams. So want to draw attention to that again for the chat, so in case they weren't aware. That is awesome, and congrats to you. But what do you attribute these wins to? Because you guys are just locking in crucial moments.
I mean, I think I could contribute to our. I mean, we just like I said last time on the broadcast, we just hard grind. We're just putting the time in. Listen, we're free to play players, man. We're against all these partnered org teams. We're just we're free to play players beating all these teams. And I just think that's crazy. I just think we're really showing them that we deserve to be here, and that we're gonna try and dominate.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you.
Real quick, guys, got one question. Who sits in those chairs behind you, Binds? Who sits in the chair, right chair to that right chair? Who sits there in this, what it looks to be like a science room or something? Are you in the basement also? What's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not actually in a basement. I think it's outer space or something. I don't actually I'm kind of homeless, like I said before.
You're actually Venom himself? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and then for the chairs, we'd be doing stuff in the basement. That's all I gotta say.
Just some invisible spectators. So everyone's supporting you, I'm sure. No Binds, last question from me. Can I play Adam Warlock in ranked again? Is he officially back?
Bro, Adam is broken. That character's broken. That's all I gotta say. That character can make or break games.
That is all I needed to hear. Perfect. Yeah, now I'm back on. No one can complain at me in ranked. Thank you so much, No Binds. Really appreciate your time, bud. Congrats again on the win, and fingers crossed for you that maybe it can go your way in the tiebreaker.
Thank you. Yeah, we're hoping that too.
Appreciate you. So, unbelievable performance from Cafe Rose in the end. as I said to you guys earlier, we still don't really know how it's going to go and how it's going to shape up. We're going to have to wait for Sentinels versus NRG Shock's match to really see how these tiebreakers are going to work. And as I said, I'm sure the mathematicians behind the scenes are going to be trying to work those things out. But before we get there, we have TLC versus Yeah We Lost, which I think is going to be a shift up of matches here. We're going to see the cream of the crop when it comes to Marvel Rivals Ignite. Plus, you've got the new blood of Yeah We Lost. We just saw Cafe Rose and how impressive and incredible Cafe Rose have been from MRC. Yeah We Lost seem to be that one step higher. The real question is, can they take down the unbeatable Team Liquid Citadel? There's only one way to find out. It'll be after this break. Don't go anywhere.